Hey everybody, it's James Vagley here. Welcome to another episode of the MBA podcast. And today it's the 1st of July. In Australia, at least, that's a new financial year. So how do you feel this new financial year, Mr. Playstead?
G'day, James. I don't know. I guess like most people that are self-employed, I get a little bit triggered at this time of the year because I know that it's the rollover point for another tax obligation.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Um, it's a line in the sand. It's a little bit like the new year, new calendar year. I think the new financial year is a bit of, it's kind of an arbitrary point in time. Is it worth having this conversation? What should we do? What should we not do? Why is the new financial year important for our clients, our business, et cetera, et cetera? So this week, listeners, we're talking about how to start the new financial year like a pro. So, where do you want to kick off with this one, Ash? I mean, you and I have seen a lot of new financial years over the years. So, yeah, what's your thoughts in general on this essentially arbitrary date and what it means personally for business, for clients, and how we should start thinking about it?
It's a good question. I guess I'd approach it from two perspectives. There's the internal one, how it affects me. What would I do personally for myself, my own business affairs at this time of year? But I think also equally, how do we utilize it? What does it mean to our clients? And how might we leverage this time of the year in the way we interact with our clients? Also, I include in our clients referral partners. So if you work with accountants and financial planners, particularly in the wealth industry, it's obviously a very significant time of the year. So there's a lot of activity, particularly if you're working with referral partners. This is the time of year where they're regularly in contact with their clients. That presents opportunities to insert yourself in. I think it's also a great time to position yourself in the marketplace with clients. Um, so I think overall, it's a time of the year, sort of, it's almost opposite, if you like, to Christmas or New Year. New Year's a time when everything winds down. So everybody's in non-decision making mode or got to work on stuff mode. I think at this New Year, it's the opposite. I've got to do things. I've got to plan. I've got to sign off the financial year. So everyone's attentive. Everyone's, I think, open to input and ideas and planning. So I think that would be my starting point, James, is, how do we utilize this heightened awareness that both clients and partners and the world in general has at this time of year?
I like that actually. If I think about it, the more we talk about it, and we've only just started talking about it, but there's that internal and external viewpoint. Like internally, for my own personal financial, for the business itself, I'd put that almost in a not to do category, right? Like people like to use the new calendar year and the new financial year as a line in the sand to set goals and have a business plan and get fired up, and that's kind of great, but I'd say that's a not to do. You should be doing that all the time anyway. Um, I like thinking outside of me and the business, as you said, like, okay, so this is on other people's minds. How can we use this for our clients? What do they need to know? What could we share with them? What sort of help could they need? Same as our partners, what's going on for them? It's tax time, it's busy. How can we support them? How can we be there? Work with our partners. And even I think the business too. So all of our listeners, running businesses, maybe you've got a small business, it's you or a couple of staff, maybe you've got a couple of dozen staff, but you've got a business, you've got a team. So for your team and business, this is also a great opportunity to sort of reflect and review in a way, have that line in the sand for the team, because the team will recognize this as a milestone point, so to speak. So Ash, while I wouldn't be thinking of this as a great opportunity to plan and all that sort of stuff for me in the business, because you should be doing that every month anyway. That's the mistake most brokers make, is thinking that the start of a new calendar year or new financial year is a great time to make a plan. You should be looking at your numbers every week and every month. But yeah, definitely using it for clients, partners, and team is really where I think it's at. Would you agree? Do you have a different perspective on that?
Yeah, for sure. Look, I think it's very similar to New year, like the calendar new year is when people tend to make big plans. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to do X, Y, Z better, whatever it happens to be. So it tends to be that time of year where people make grand plans made on grand dreams and visions, which is all perfectly okay. But we know that the vast majority of them don't come to be. So I sort of bring that back to this time of year and go, yeah, how do we utilize this opportunity to help our clients not just make concrete plans, but have a plan of action to get stuff done? Me personally, I mean, I've worked for myself for most of my life, and this time of year generally rolls through with not much change. Yeah, like anybody, there's always collecting bits and pieces to hand to your accountant, but that tends to happen over the course of the period following the financial year. I don't know too many people that have got their tax returns ready on July the 2nd. Um, most people are a year behind, let's be honest. So it does just tend to roll through for me, like you. So my focus is always on, well, there's so much energy gets generated. So many people tend to get, I guess, pulled a little bit into an awareness of I need to be doing something, I need to be planning. So for me, it's about crafting a message. You know what? How do we craft a message to our database? That's our clients. How do we craft a message to the world in general through socials, if that's what you're doing? How do we craft a message to our key partners, particularly accountants? But I think also you do tend to find in the real estate industry, a lot of purchases tend to gravitate around this time of year because people want things completed or executed or unconditional, you know, before the shut-off date. So it does overall generate a lot of activity. Now, activity without direction is probably busy work, right? So I don't want anyone to take the message thinking, oh no, I get wrapped up in busy work. That's not what I'm saying. But for the world at large, they're open, I think, to information. They're open to recommendations on resetting for the coming year. So how any given
Yep.
broker, business owner might use that is obviously specific to their strategy, whether you're working with key partners, whether you've got a database you want to talk to, whether it's a messaging that you want to put out on socials and elsewhere. So that's the way I'd be going if I was sitting back running a mortgage broking business. How can I stand out? What can I talk about that's individual to me that not everyone else is talking about? We've spoken about this before, right? Is I don't think I'd be sending out generic information. I think, well, what can I talk about that people are actually interested in, whether that's partners or clients? So that's really where I'd probably go and use it as an opportunity to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, I strongly agree. And you're right, Ash, that most people do that generic welcome to the new financial year. Like this is a what not to do, I think. It's the happy new financial year email. Maybe you've written it's probably come from a generic supplier. And what's it going to say? Oh, it's a great time to review your loans. Like, that's not good enough anymore. And I think it's the 1st of July when this is going out, and this is probably a good point to make, listeners, is that how to start the new financial year like a pro actually starts in May. Like it doesn't start on the 1st of July. So you're obviously listening to this on the 1st of July. We're recording this in advance, so we're doing things in advance. So if you want to start the new financial year like a pro, you're actually planning for it in May and thinking about what we need to do before the end of the financial year for our clients and then partners and business and team, and then what's important after it. And as Ash said, crafting, thinking about what they want and what they need, and then crafting messages and communications and offers to help based on that. And Ash, I think that's probably the crux of this episode and this message, in that, and probably like a lot of what we say and talk about and the advice we give on this podcast and to our members, and that it really all comes back and centers to, brokers just need to take a few minutes to stop and go and actually ask people and understand what they want, Listeners, when was the last time you really actually sat down with your clients or your key partners or anybody and actually understood what's going on in their world and what they want? Have you actually ever asked them? And then with that information, putting together messages and communications and offers to help. And I think the new financial year is no different, right? Like it's, as you said at the start, Ash, it's an arbitrary point in time, but it's a heightened awareness for people. And so the default for mortgage brokers is go, oh, it's the end of financial year. Maybe we'll just talk to our clients about interest in advance payments, and then let's get a new financial health check because it's the financial year. Did we actually ask what's going on for them and what would be important and helpful? No. That's probably the biggest message I'd like our listeners to take away, Ash.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, James. And you mentioned something there that I want to focus in on, and that's preparation or planning. I think that's an even more important message. So we're talking about crafting messages and communication and positioning yourself with your audience and community. Well, I think that's downstream from preparation and planning, right? And preparation and planning are downstream from making time and space to do it, which I think is downstream, if I can be so bold, as to getting a good advisor, getting people around you, a coach, people like us that can help you understand a process or an activity is downstream of planning for the activity, I guess. So tax time, what do I take out of this? What would you want to take out of this? Is yes, it's a time of heightened awareness. Yes, it's a time to stand out. Yes, it's a great opportunity, but be proactive, not reactive. So given that it's 1st of July when people are going to be seeing this, to take the thinking forward into your business. Think about what's coming up next in the year. It could be spring, it could be Christmas, it could be any number of events. Think about in advance, plan ahead, ask your clients or your audience what's important to them, then craft a workflow and a process around that. And I think this is the big challenge. I would and send an invitation to everybody to embrace this challenge, is finding the time and space to do these things in the hurly-burly of running your mortgage broking business. And I get that everybody's at different stages, right? From, you might be watching this and you became accredited yesterday, right? Or you might be watching this and you've been pumping away for 25 years. So there's a big spectrum of people who might be watching this, but I think the message is consistent. Plan ahead. If you're really caught up so much in the day-to-day of running your business that you can barely take a breath, I mean, that's the time, pick up the phone and call us. It's a very common thing, James, isn't it? That people we work with, often the starting point is they know they have needs and then they need almost intervention to make the time and space. It's almost like getting chucked in hospital because you're so sick. Okay, now I've got no choice. I've got to think about things, right? Because I'm sort of strapped in a bed. Well, we don't want that to happen to anybody, right? So be proactive and I guess get some help to make the space to plan ahead. It's amazing how few people, in my experience, are actually proactive planners and action takers. I think we tend to work in a very reactive industry in that people have a need, let's react to it.
I think people love to do. I mean, we do plan 3, 6, 12 months in advance, but we love to do. I'd say a lot of our listeners also like to do. As entrepreneurs, we want to roll up the sleeves and start doing stuff. Planning is, I just want to get in and roll up the sleeves and pick up a shovel and start, shoveling stuff, right? And that's kind of like, there's so many analogies we could use here. Like, as you said, preparation and planning is key, but how are you going to do that if you're so deep in the weeds in your business, which is most brokers busy in the doing? And the solution in some ways is sometimes to, as you said, put your hand up, have a talk with us, join a coaching program, put some what we call hurt money down, because that's what's required. Like, otherwise you'll never do it. Same as the gym. Everybody knows what to do to be fit and healthy. Like, buy better food, eat better, go and do a workout, move your body, go for a run. You don't need to join a gym. Why do people join a gym? Money and accountability. So having that environment, that forces you to go, well, I've paid for it. It's in my diary. Someone's expecting me. I'm going to the gym. Well, you could have just gone out and done something for free in the park or in your lounge room, like just eat better. It's the same as business. Yes, there's all the information out there about what to do and all that sort of stuff. You could just make a plan and sit there by yourself and come up with a strategy and try and execute on it, but you probably won't. What you'll probably do is just keep doing work, getting in the weeds, doing stuff. Like the mindset of most people is not to sit and plan. So unless you go, right, I want to achieve something, I'm going to sign up for a coaching program, get the right advice. What you're kind of paying and investing for is not just the right advice and a better plan so you don't make mistakes and you get the results faster, which is, of course, what we do. It's more so, yeah, you're paying to be forced to sit down, take a breath, get off the tools for 5 minutes and look at your business, think about where you want to go and make a plan to get there. And if the new financial year is a great place to start doing that, if you're not doing it already, then as Ash said, like, let's have a conversation about getting you on track. So very timely.
Yeah, spot on, James. And I would wrap up my thoughts on this by, I guess, commentating or commenting on the way we go about things, which is it's agile methodology, it's scrum and sprint, whatever you want to call it, but it's 90-day block, right? So the thinking there, of course, is 90-day blocks. You plan what's important in those 90 days. You develop what you need to do, and you go out and get it done. And you have deliverables and check-ins to make sure that you're on track. As obvious as that sounds, very few people do that, right? And the other part of that is, well, what do I need to be working on? What is important in the big picture, and what do I need to get done in the next 90 days? So I would take that out of this episode, listeners, is new financial year, be 90 days ahead. So whatever's coming up, be 90 days ahead. Get good coaching and advice around you to hold your feet to the fire, to understand what it is you need to be working on, to keep you focused and accountable to working on it. We all need that. There's very few people who operate completely independently of accountability and a bit of discipline. So use us for that. Work in 90-day sprints. Be ahead of the game, and that will put you ahead of 95% of business operators.
Yeah,
Hopefully there's enough people listening to this that's more than 10% of the industry, but not everyone takes action, right? So be one of the action takers.
100%. And at this time of year, as well as a wrap up, overhearing our coaches talk to members about going through the numbers and taking the time to deep dive into them and plan and look at those things. It gives the clarity it gives them and the certainty and knowing what they actually have to do to hit their goals it's kind of like a breath of fresh air, right? As opposed to just do, hire, systemize, blah, 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 and hope that it works out at the end of the day, comes out of the wash and I make some money. It's like, this is a great opportunity to look at your numbers, see where you're at and what you need to do to hit some goals over the next 6 to 12 months. So how to start the new year like a pro, I should say, the new financial year like a pro. It's to get serious about this stuff and with your clients, your partners, your business, your team, yourself, do something different. Maybe that's my final message, Ash. We've all heard the saying that what got you here today is probably not what is going to get you to your goals. You might need to do something different, be somebody different to achieve bigger things. And maybe this is a good wake-up call, a line in the sand to start doing something different and being somebody different so that you can actually make some big things happen in your business.
Love that. Love that. I can't top that message. Great message. Plan ahead. Work in sprints and scrums. Have a breath. Get help. All of those things. Let's use the start of the financial year as the trigger to turn right, not left.
Sounds good. Well, that's episode 193, folks. It's happy new financial year, at least to those listening in Australia. I know it's different around the world, but hopefully you have a great financial year. We're here to support you and make some big things happen. So give us a buzz. We're always looking for smart, ambitious brokers to help take to the next level. So have a good one. We're looking forward to seeing you next week. We've got a different theme coming up for the rest of this month, so stay tuned to next week. Ash, I'm looking forward to it. Have yourself a good week.
Likewise, James. See you next week.
Bye, everyone.